Hello, thanks for joining us today. My name is Kaitlyn O'Shaughnessy. I'm an immigration attorney with Murray Osorio, and I'm joined today with Awel, the legal navigation coordinator at AsylumWorks in Washington, D.C. AsylumWorks is one of our partner organizations, and they offer a ton of very useful services for asylum seekers, like helping them navigate legal representation in the legal system, as well as a variety of social services. So Awel and I were chatting, and it came up that a lot of AsylumWorks clients have a lot of the same questions that my clients have. And that one of those big questions is around whether or not you can travel as an asylum seeker. So Awel, why don't you let me know some of the questions that people are asking you, and I will do my best to answer them for us.
Thank you, Kaitlyn. It's really a good topic because this is the questions that most of our clients are asking. So it is about traveling internationally, like international travel while their asylum cases is still pending.
Mm-hmm.
Some clients, they just come to the office and ask, can I travel while my asylum case is still pending? Can I travel while I have a TPS status? All these questions are very important, and I'm glad we brought these issues so that people can learn from it. Yeah. So the first question is when and how it is possible to travel while your asylum case is pending.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk about the after getting asylum later. So this answer just applies to when your asylum case is pending.
Sure.
So I filed my I-589 affirmatively, and I'm just waiting for the interview. So in that situation, it is possible to get an advance parole document. It is not the easiest thing in the world, and it's absolutely essential that you have this advance parole document before you leave the country. Because if you leave the country without the advance parole document, your asylum case is considered abandoned. And that obviously is not something that we want. So whenever possible, I do tell people that if they can wait until they have asylum granted to travel, then that's the best situation, because I do feel like it can be very risky to travel internationally while your asylum case is pending. And then hopefully, obviously, but you can never travel back to the country of persecution, regardless of what documentation you have.
Yeah, thank you. So, when people apply for this advanced parole, it takes time. People travel for different reasons. It could be for urgent reasons. So some people try to travel, without securing it, without having this advanced parole. What do you think happened to their asylum cases if people travel without having this document?
Yeah, so generally speaking, USCIS considers that you've abandoned your application for asylum. I think you and I talked about this when we were discussing this. Like every so often, you hear this story about a person who had a pending asylum claim, and was able to travel and come back, and it worked out for them. And legally speaking, I don't know how that happens. I would not recommend that people try that because those kind of one or two stories that we've heard, I think that that's just luck of the draw. But legally speaking, if you leave the country with a pending asylum application and no advance parole document, your application is considered abandoned.
Yeah, thank you. So some people try to apply for TPS in order to get these travel documents to travel internationally. So is it safe for people whose asylum case is still pending and to apply for a TPS and to travel?
Okay, so it's safe to apply for TPS, and then to apply for the travel document through TPS, a very lawyerly answer is kind of maybe. So you can get an advanced parole document through TPS, And you actually don't need to get a double advanced parole document. So it's not like you need for TPS and asylum. Although if possible, I would indicate like in the application for the TPS advanced parole that there is an asylum claim pending. You still can't go back to your country of origin. But I think, so yes, the answer is yes, technically speaking, you should be able to do that. There are still a number of risks with doing that people should be aware of.
Yeah, what are the risks? Because now people, even if they have advanced parole, some lawyers don't advise their clients to travel, even if they have advanced parole. So what are the risks that are associated with traveling, even if you have this advanced parole?
Yeah, so I've definitely been one of those lawyers who says, even though you have this advanced parole, if you can avoid traveling, please avoid traveling. Okay, so the number one risk with advanced parole is that you're not guaranteed entry when you come back. So when you come back, you still have to go through border control like normal. And the border guards can still deny you. And so there's no guarantee that you're getting back in. Normally, if all goes well, you should get back in, but that's a risk. Another risk, and this is where I think when it comes to traveling internationally with a pending any type of claim, but obviously especially asylum, like a more sensitive claim, you want to have an individual discussion about this with your lawyer, because certain people might have inadmissibilities that they don't even know about. And some of those can be like criminal issues. Pending criminal charges can complicate things when they're coming in to re-enter, especially for people that have entered without inspection more than one time. That creates can create complications as well. So you want to actually like do this little analysis on a very personal level with your lawyer. Same for the, I'm just going to keep saying this because people still do it. It's like returning to your home country. Yeah. If you return to your home country, it's going to be really, really tough. And then the other big one, and this is why like the TPS thing makes me nervous, and advanced parole makes me a little bit nervous, is traveling on your home country passport. Because when you apply for asylum and it's still pending, you're not eligible for a refugee travel document. So your only travel document is your home country passport.
Yeah.
And then when you're applying for asylum, you're basically saying either my government directly persecuted me or they allowed me to be persecuted and they can't protect me. So then when you go and use your home country passport, it does create the possibility that issue could come up at your asylum interview. And again, this is like an individual risk analysis thing, because depending on the specifics of a person's asylum claim, maybe it's not government persecution. Maybe it was like a rebel group or something, or I don't know. But that's where you want to be speaking on a really individual level to see if it makes sense for you personally.
Yeah, thank you. So the other thing is, a USCIS need a reason for why you are applying and why you are traveling abroad. So what are the convincing reasons or the justification you can submit to USCIS when you apply for advanced parole?
Yeah, this is a really, really good question. And so it's not like there's like a list somewhere with every circumstance enumerated. So I have some anecdotes of things that we've seen approved and things that have not been approved, things that have been denied. And so what we see, and this is specific to advanced parole documents for pending asylum claims, just to be clear, that the circumstances have to be somewhat extreme. So someone's about to die. So if a loved one is about to die, someone, a really close family member, needs medical treatment in a third country where they don't speak the language, but you speak the language. Usually involves someone being about to die or someone being extremely sick. So pretty specific and like urgent reasons. We have seen them denied for less like extreme, and I'm using the words extreme in these like air quotes because I don't necessarily agree with this, but we have seen them denied for someone who wanted to reunite with his family in a safe third country that he had a visa to, and his family was able to get to the country, and he was able to get to the country, and the family couldn't get to the US, and he'd been separated for such a long time, as so many asylum seekers have, and that one was denied. So like, to me, I would consider, you know, a really long separation from family to be like sufficient, but it wasn't in that particular case.
Thank you. So now let's say someone traveled with this advanced parole, or someone traveled without advanced parole and tried to re-enter into the U.S. and it was denied, you know, to be admitted. So what would happen next?
Yeah, so I think the most likely outcome of that is that the person would be detained. And it depends on how the border officer would classify that person, but they could either be depending on how they're treated, they might end up getting put into immigration detention, or they might end up being put into like secondary inspection for a long period of time, and then potentially allowed in to attend removal proceedings. But that part is kind of hard to predict exactly what would happen. But I think expecting to be detained is like pretty standard if you're going to have a problem there.
Yeah. So is it different when someone is granted asylum to travel than one person, you know, some client is just whose case is still pending?
Yeah, definitely. And this is why I really try to have people wait. And this gets harder, the longer the waiting times stretch. Yeah. But basically, once you've been granted asylum, you can apply for a refugee travel document. Mm-hmm. And this refugee travel document it looks like a passport. It's like teal, bluey green. And it looks exactly like a passport. And it's got all your information on it like a passport. And you can use that in lieu of a passport. So you're not relying on your home country's documents. The United States has already recognized that you're a person who is under their protection. You're just in a much safer and more stable position. And then even like better is if the person has adjusted status and got their green card. But even then, if you don't apply for a refugee travel document right after you get asylum, you can apply for it at the same time that you apply for your green card. And there's no additional fee if you apply at the same time. So for all of our clients at our firm, we have them apply for the refugee travel document at the same time as the and you don't need to give this extreme reason. So the standard for it getting approved is much simpler.
Yeah, thank you. This is actually very important information. That's what a lot of people want to hear. But do you think even if you have like a travel document, is it accepted by all countries, or there are some countries who don't recognize this travel document?
That's a really good question, and I actually don't know the answer to that. It's supposed to be considered the same as a passport, and I've not heard of anyone going to a particular country and getting sent back. But I mean, my sample size is small, so I actually don't know. I think that to be safe, a person would want to, like, whichever country they're going to, maybe do a little bit of research. But you can get a visa in a refugee travel document. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that part I'm not 100% sure of. To be honest.
So I think they can go to the consulate office or the embassy of the country where they want to travel, and you have to make sure that document is accepted before traveling, and making all research is very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Kaitlyn. It was really nice information session. Yeah.
You're welcome. And I'm going to highlight just before we end that since a lot of the information I gave you was essentially try and wait if you can, just to remind people that once that asylum case is pending for many, many years, like 5, 6, 7 years, it might be time to file a mandamus action on it. And if you have like an urgent family situation and your advanced parole doesn't get approved, like maybe you file a request to expedite. So if there's something going on that you really need to travel, like talk to your lawyer about finding a solution. Maybe the solution is not the advanced parole document, but maybe there's something else. So anyways, thank you so much for joining me tonight to chat about this. Yeah. And we'll be live again next week.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.